Ukraine War 10 halves, Russia breaks off new Kiev offensive in Kursk. Ukraine massively advances in Kursk. Russia blocks new offensive. The military summary channel reported that in Kherson, after weeks of inactivity, the Russian armed forces, RFAF, are advancing along the island. In the direction of Pokrovsk, Moscow forces intensified their attacks after regrouping, while the Ukrainian armed forces, AFU, counterattacked in Kotlan and Pashchane. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed that the RFAF had captured Orikhovo-Vasilyevka in the northern Chasov Yar area. In the direction of Siversk, Moscow forces captured fortified positions east of Verkhnokamiansky, which is considered an important base in defending Siversk. On the Oskil River to the north, the RFAF expanded its bridgehead, while pro-Kiev sources now describe it as a real front line rather than just a bridgehead. In Kursk, Kiev forces are increasingly transferring resources to Sudra to hold the area at all costs and possibly prepare for further offensive operations. According to Redovaka, over the past week, Moscow forces have repelled another attempt by the AFU to break through in the Kursk region. This time, Kiev decided to act from the Kolmakov farm area, from where a column of armored vehicles moved in the direction of the Cherkaskaya Konopelka and Ulanok settlements. However, Russia detected the anomaly in time and responded fiercely, forcing the enemy infantry to disperse. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the Kiev assault force, which consisted of up to 2 mechanized battalions, failed and lost 8 tanks, 5 infantry fighting vehicles, 30 armored vehicles and more than 200 servicemen. At the same time, the AFU tried to break through in another area, operating from Malaya Loknia in the direction of the Kruglin-Koye settlement. But this diversionary attack also brought nothing but more losses. It is worth noting that the AFU decided to abandon the idea of concentrating equipment in the immediate vicinity of the combat zone before the breakthrough to avoid being exposed. At the beginning of the year, Russian UAV operators demonstrated that they could successfully destroy such targets even before the enemy began their operations. So this time was no exception. In any case, recent developments show that the Kiev command is desperately trying to regain key control points, which in theory could delay the enemy's regaining control of Sudra. But in the long run, they will hardly be able to hold out. Moscow determined to defeat Ukraine in southern Donbass. Redovaka channel commented that the main task of the Russian troops in this direction is to defeat the Ukrainian operational tactical group Khortytsa. It should be noted that to strengthen this group, the Kiev command has allocated reinforcements from the Tavria group, because the failure of the Khortytsa group means that the situation of the Tavria group becomes critical. To achieve this goal, Moscow's forces are conducting an offensive from Velika Novoselka to the north, trying to push the enemy to the Volkhya River in the settlements of Otradnoy, Bogatar and Razliv. However, to cause a complete defeat, the RFAF needs to encircle the enemy forces and then destroy them. In this regard, it is worth noting the RFAF's advance from Salidova, where the shock force has reached the settlements of Nadezhdamka and Zaporozhye. If the AFU has left the first sector, then the problem with the second sector has not been solved. At the same time, the Kiev forces did not give up their attempts to delay the inevitable collapse by organizing counterattacks. In particular, the 151st Separate Mechanized Brigade tried to drive the enemy units from Nadezhdamka to prevent further offensives. But the AFU suffered losses and lost a lot of equipment. In the future, the offensive in this sector will help the RFAF units reach Orekhovo, from where they can move to the Novoukrainka settlement, located near the Volkhya River. Therefore, the formation of the encirclement of the Ukrainian grouping in the southern direction of Donbass must be completed. And then the consequences for the AFU will be very serious. Russia prepares to attack Konstantinovka. Redovaka channel reported that the situation in this area shows that everything is moving towards the initial stage of the battle for the city of Konstantinovka. In preparation for the decisive blow, Moscow forces are making efforts to block the enemy units still deployed in the area south of Chasov Yar to Torsk from being captured, by quickly depriving the garrison at Konstantinovka of reinforcements. The RFAF has significantly simplified the task of capturing this settlement. In addition, west of Torsk, Moscow forces are also making preparations, where they have gained access to the highway in the area between Yelizavetovka and Vozdvizhenka. In addition to deciding the fate of Pokrovsk and Myrnograd, this also opens up another route to Konstantinovka. At the same time, the problem of encircling Kiev units still deployed between the settlement of New York and Vozdvizhenka has been resolved. The RFAF also needs to cut off the possibility of retreating to Konstantinovka. However, it was only a matter of time. They had proven time and again that the tactic of encircling and cutting off escape routes always worked. Ukrainian General Staff, UFO repels 17 attacks in Kursk. Ukrainska Pravda reported that on the evening of February 9, the Ukrainian General Staff said that 92 clashes had occurred. Specifically, RFAF attacked 31 times in the direction of Pokrovsky and 18 times in the direction of Kursk. The report said, Russia conducted 2 missile strikes, 58 air strikes, used 2 missiles and dropped 86 Cub bombs, deployed 1.086 suicide UAVs and carried out 4.429 artillery strikes. The Ukrainian General Staff confirmed that the UFO had basically repelled the enemy in Kharkov, Kupiansk, Liman, Toretsk, Pokrovsk, Novopavlovsk. Russia did not launch offensive operations in the direction of Seversk, Guli-Poli, Prilneprovsky and Orekov. In the direction of Kursk, Kiev forces repelled 17 attacks. Wants to meet Zelensky at Munich Security Conference. CBS News reported that US Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will have a bilateral meeting during the annual Munich Security Conference, which will take place from February 14 to 16 in Germany. On February 7, the head of the Ukrainian presidential administration Andriy Yermak reported on a meeting with Keith Kellogg, US President Donald Trump's special representative for Ukraine and Russia, to discuss future meetings at the Munich Security Conference. Earlier, Mr. Kellogg confirmed that he planned to attend the Munich Security Conference and meet with allies. He is also scheduled to visit Ukraine in February. Europe should provide security guarantees to Ukraine. In an interview with NBC News, Trump's national security advisor Mike Waltz recommended that Europe provide security guarantees to Ukraine after the war, while Washington should pay for military aid to Ukraine. The main principle here is that the Europeans have to resolve this conflict. The President, Trump, will end the war. And then, in terms of security guarantees, it will definitely be up to Europe, he said. Waltz did not directly answer a question about the White House chief's phone call with Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin, but noted that the Russia-Ukraine war will be a topic of discussion in Europe next week. The National Security Advisor added that it was necessary to bring all sides to the negotiating table. The Russian economy is not doing well. President Trump, promised new tariffs, new sanctions. We need all sides to come to the negotiating table. According to him, President Trump is ready to raise all these issues in the discussions next week. This includes the future of our aid to Ukraine. We need to withdraw the cost of military aid to Ukraine, Mr. Waltz said. Mr. Zelensky talks about President Trump's plan to end the conflict. In an interview with British television station ITV News, President Volodymyr Zelensky believes that the victory plan proposed by Ukraine could be the basis for President Trump's plan to end the Russia-Ukraine war. We wrote this in the victory plan. The basic documents have been prepared by Ukraine. They can be the basis for Trump's plan with Ukraine, of course. Without Ukraine, there can be no plan. It is desirable that Trump's plan also includes the presence of Europe, Zelensky said. Asked about his actions if Trump proposed an unacceptable option to end the war for Ukraine, Zelensky stressed, we cannot confront the United States. This is not in our favor. A country at war, and not in the favor of President Trump. Putin's victory is not in his favor.